In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the calendar feature in Microsoft Outlook. The calendar in Microsoft Outlook is a very powerful feature that is integrated within Microsoft Outlook along with email, contacts, and tasks and such, and that's what makes Microsoft Outlook so powerful in a business environment. The calendar feature not only allows you to keep track of your own appointments for specific dates and times, but it also allows you to schedule meetings with others and invite them to meetings and check their calendar and all that type of thing. Once you open Outlook, you have your emails and such, but here in the bottom left, you also have the option for calendar. Now on the left-hand side, you'll have the dates and times for the calendar. Further down, you'll have the multiple calendars that you might have access to. By default, you have access to only your own calendar. However, if other users choose to share their calendar with you, you'd be able to have access to their calendar as well over here, and we'll learn about that later. So basically, you have the months and the dates here on the left, and then on the right hand side you have these different views. Notice you have the today's view, next 7 days. You have the view for just today, next 7 days. The work week, it's skipping the Saturday and Sunday here. The monthly view, and then just the scheduled view. So you're just looking at specific days and what your calendar looks like for those specific days. Manage calendars, where you can open somebody else's calendar and group calendars, and you can email the calendar, share your calendar and publish it and all that type of thing, and check the calendar permissions. So typically in day-to-day work, you're going to probably use the day view first or the work week view, one of those views. Now, to create an appointment, there are a couple ways to do that. You could be on any of those views, it doesn't matter which one, but the day view, let's say I go here, it's about 12 o'clock, let's say at 2 o'clock, I select the block of time, and then I just type the appointment that I want to create. So for example, and then simply hit enter. At this point, notice that once I hit enter, the appointment has been entered. At this stage, I have additional options here that show up about my appointment. So I could choose to show this as busy or tentative, or I'm free and such, or out of the office. So free, of course, that means that somebody else can schedule an appointment with me. My calendar will look free to others, even though I have something scheduled for it. Working somewhere else and such, or tentative and busy and out of office, of course, that means what they say. And somebody will see that you're busy at that particular point in time for that block of time. Another way to create an appointment is by simply clicking here on New Appointment and then putting the subject. And then here I'm putting more details about my appointment. I could put my location, the date and time, how long it's going to be, and then I can put also additional details about my appointment. Additionally, you have more options, as you can see, and we'll touch on some of those other ones, such as the scheduling assistant and notes and all that type of thing shortly here. Notice you have this recurrence option, and this is how you can make a meeting so it shows up every, let's say this meeting takes place monthly on the 21st of every month, and then you want to end it after 10 occurrences. So that's how you do a repeating meeting. So pick your parameters here and then click OK, and then press save and close. Now, if we go into the monthly view, this will show up the same way from month to month. It's added to your calendar. So that's how you create a meeting for personal use, and also create that meeting so that it shows up from month to month. You can also create a meeting for a specific date by simply going to the date first here on the calendar. So let's say you want to create a meeting for the 18th of January. Click on the 18th here, it takes you directly to that date, and then pick the time, so 8 to 9, and the meeting has been entered. Also specify whether this meeting is private or not. Notice up here on the very top, there is this option for private. When you mark a meeting as private, that means that if you give access to an assistant or somebody else, when you give them access, you can choose not to share the private meetings. It'll just show the time as busy for you, but they'll not see what you're doing. This would come in handy, for example, you're using your work calendar for personal meetings in the evenings and weekends, take out the trash or whatever. Your assistant doesn't need to know that at 7 o'clock you're going to take out the trash. You can just mark this meeting as a private meeting. So this is how you control it. You go right here under this and you choose to mark it private. As far as the sharing aspect of it, I'll cover that in a separate video shortly. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to invite others to meetings using the Microsoft Outlook calendar. Microsoft Outlook, besides using it for email, can also be used in a powerful way for collaborating with others and choosing the best times to meet and coordinate the meetings with others in your team and in your organization. And that's the main powerful features of Microsoft Outlook, particularly in the corporate environment. It makes it a lot easier to determine what time and when they are available without having to go back and forth with multiple emails as to when is available. For the sake of demonstration, I cannot use real accounts here for other users, so I have two accounts that we are going to tinker with, and hopefully you'll get the idea as to how to send the alerts and the requests. Basically, once you're in Outlook, then you need to click here on the calendar option. Choose any of those views. Right now it's on the work week. And let's say that for tomorrow on Wednesday, I want to send a meeting request with somebody else. Well, let's say I want my meeting to be at 10 o'clock. So I can either click here on New Meeting, or I can simply double click on this time slot from 10 o'clock, and I can put my details for the meeting right here. Specify the location for the meeting, beginning time, end time. You can put the different requirements for it, and then click here under the scheduling assistant. This is going to give you your own calendar. However, you can click here under add attendees, search the global address list in your company for another user in that company. So I'll choose here instructor. It's a generic account, and then I'll add them either as required or optional. So you can pick and choose multiple users in your company from here. And let's say I choose test here, and I have two other users, and I'll make them as optional attendance, and then click OK. Now the system displays their availability and their calendar. By default in Microsoft Outlook, all other users within Microsoft Exchange, they can see when somebody is available. They can't see what you're doing during that time, but they can see when you are available for a meeting with them. The spots in white, that means that they are available. The ones in blue, that means that they are not available. For these other two accounts, that means that they are not using the calendar feature here, therefore no information is available. If I wanted to make it an hour long, I have a conflict with my own schedule here. So you'll also notice some suggested times here on the right hand side. Notice that they are a little bit earlier in the day for those. However, you can also go and pick here additional times. You can see and pick here the exact block of time that would fit your need, where it's available and open. Once you click the specific time that makes sense to you, you can choose a reminder. Then you and the person you're requesting a meeting with will be reminded at whatever time you specify here, and then choose whether this is recurring or not. Then once you have selected the appropriate time, you can go back to the appointment area and put additional notes that you want to put in this area here. Go here under insert and insert an attachment if you want it for the meeting. Then press send. At this point, the meeting will be added to your calendar, as well as the recipient will receive an email. The email will look like this, and it will basically say, please respond. And I'm accessing this via webmail. If we open this in Microsoft Outlook, it would be something very similar to this. It's basically saying that your request is from such and such an individual, and then the meeting is going to be on such and such a time. This is the attachment. As a user, you can choose to accept it, mark it as tentative or decline it. If you choose to decline it, the sender is going to receive an alert that the meeting has been declined, and they'll receive an alert provided you choose that you want to send the response back. You can send the response automatically whenever you press the check mark here. Sometimes you can accept the meeting without sending a response. Other times you might be best, if you're not going to be attending the meeting, to just choose edit the response first. Then press send here, and this is the recipient on the other end that is sending this. And if we go back here to Outlook, notice I received confirmation that it has been accepted, and this will also be in my email here. So it will say accepted meeting for sales 2018, and also it will display the note from the requester. I could actually go here to my calendar and double click on it, and here it says that 1 has accepted it, 0 have declined. And so if you're planning a meeting with multiple individuals, this is a great way for you to coordinate when everybody is available, and also track who has accepted it and who has not. Now, the way to track the exceptions is by going here under the tracking option within your appointment. I just double clicked on the appointment. You click on the tracking option, and then you'll be able to see who accepted it and what the responses were. Now, sometimes there might be cases where you need to reschedule the meeting and you want to send an alert to the individuals and such. In that case, all you have to do is go back to your calendar, go back to your meeting, and then change the time and date for the meeting. Now, as you're doing this, you might want to check, for example, to use also the scheduling assistant. After you have picked the time and date, you check the availability here. Notice on the 24th there's not much happening for either one of us here for Friday. Then you select the new time and you go back to your appointment, and then you can put notes and give more details. And then notice, press send update here, and then the recipients on their end will receive an email like this. The old date has been crossed out, the new one, and you need to respond to it. These are the responses from the user side of things. They'll press to send the response as attending it, and then you, as the planner and coordinator of the meeting, you'll receive an alert of the new confirmation from the individual that you invited. So it will be here under the email that they accepted it. And also you can go under the calendar location, double click on it, and then go under tracking, and you can see who has accepted it and who has not. So that's how the whole process works on inviting somebody for a meeting, coordinating the best time for everyone, and checking the tracking, who has accepted the meetings and who has not. I'll demonstrate how to share your calendar with somebody else. There are times where in a business environment you want to share your calendar so that somebody else has access to it to either view the available times or to even manage your schedule. By the way, remember that this is recorded in 1080p, and it's best to view this tutorial in full screen for better quality and better resolution. So to share your calendar in Microsoft Outlook, there are a couple ways to do it. You can either go here under Share Calendar on the top, or you can right-click on your own calendar here and choose Share. Now, if we go here under Share Calendar on the top, click on Share, and then simply put in the email address of the user with whom you want to share your calendar. We'll share this with the online instructor account, and then you can also ask them for permission to view their calendar as well at the same time. As you're sharing your calendar, you need to define what permissions do you want to grant to them. So in this case, you go here under Details, and you can choose Limited Details, Full Details, and such. Just see the full details. They'll see all the details about that specific meeting. So you choose the proper options that you want to share, and then press Send. It wants to confirm that we want to still share our calendar with these permissions. You say yes and confirm this. The recipient on their end will receive an email very similar to this. They'll click on it, and they'll choose to accept the invitation to view the calendar. Now, and by the way, I'm using the web version or Outlook web for here to access the email account of the person that we shared the calendar with. So here they'll click on accept, and then notice under calendars here, they can view their own calendar, which is this one, the one in blue, or they can view also the distance learning staff account. In this case, I don't have any appointments entered, but let me say I want to enter an appointment right here. And now if we go here on the web of the recipient's account, notice that that appointment now has been synced, and it's available and accessible. So that's how you share your calendar with somebody else. You can also check the permissions for your calendar and assign multiple individuals multiple levels of access to your calendar. So the way you do that is by clicking, you click here on your own calendar, and again we are back to Outlook at this point, and then go under calendar permissions, or right click and choose properties. So either one of them, it should get you to the same thing. Now, if we go here under calendar permissions or right click on properties, it'll bring up to this. Here, notice these are the default permissions. In other individuals, by default, they can view the free and busy times for us. If you don't want them to view anything of your calendar, you can change the defaults over here. Now, notice that online instructor, we shared our calendar a moment ago with them. These are the permissions that have been granted to the online instructor. If you want them to view also additional details, you can change the permissions right here. You can also add other permissions in there. And you can add another individual in here and grant them specific permissions to your calendar. You can give them full details to your calendar. They can create folders and subfolders and all that type of stuff here. So basically, you're giving them the reviewer permission in this case. To remove somebody from your permissions list, you can simply click here under that individual account and then choose to remove that individual from the permissions, and then simply click OK. So that's how you share your calendar with somebody else, and that's how you view the permissions of your calendar with other individuals that you have granted access to. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to give delegate permissions to someone else to your calendar and also your account in Microsoft Outlook. Delegate access is basically somebody creating appointments, managing your calendar, and creating entries as if it were you. So we go here under File, and then we go here under Account Settings, and then we choose Delegate Access. We choose the option for Add, and then we search for the individual. We find the account that we want to give delegate access to. We click on Add, and then click OK. We can give access in a granular way to various aspects of our calendar here. So notice, and also other options as well in Microsoft Outlook. So notice that you can choose whether the delegate receives copies of meeting-related requests. So this is where you can control whether somebody will receive those email requests on your behalf. Now for tasks, you can control the properties for here, whether they can create and edit and modify, or whether they get no access to your tasks. Inbox, this is for email. This is where you're granting them access to create and send email on your behalf and author and create items, so you can choose the appropriate option here. Then under contacts as well, the same thing, and then also for the notes. So you basically grant them specific access to each individual item. You can also choose whether the delegates can see private items. Private items are when you create in your calendar a meeting, but you mark it as private. This is how you can control whether they can view your private meetings or not. And then You can also send them a quick email that you have granted them permissions and such. Then you click OK here, and then notice you can see who has delegate access, and you can view the permissions and other properties in here. Then click OK. Now in the recipient's mailbox, they'll have received an email similar to this, and again I'm using the Outlook web access here, and it's summarizing the permissions that you have granted to that specific individual. So that's how you share your mailbox and the mailbox items such as the calendar, contacts, and tasks and such with someone else. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to demonstrate how to open a shared calendar. So I'm going to start by first sharing the calendar with somebody else and then opening that shared calendar. Because I'm using both Outlook and I need access to two accounts, I'm going to open the second account here via the Outlook webmail. The individual that wants to give me access in their account here. So we go under the calendar, click on the calendar, and then choose Share on the top, or you can right-click and choose Sharing Permissions. Either one of those, it's the same way. So then here under Share With, I want to share the calendar from the online instructor account with a distance learning staff account. So I go here and share it with the DL staff, and then here you can choose how you want to share your calendar. It's very similar to the previous session that we did on sharing the calendar from Outlook. We can choose to give them the specific permissions, including the delegate permission. And in this case, I'm just simply going to say full details. That means that they can view the full details, and then simply press send. Now at this point, the recipient will get an email with a link to open the shared calendar. Notice if I go to my email now, I'm the distance learning staff account, and then notice you have the option for accepting the invitation to open that shared calendar. Now, if I choose to accept it from here, it takes me directly to my calendars, or I could have gone to calendars here sometime later and notice the shared calendar for online instructor. If you don't want it, you can simply uncheck it here and it will be not displayed. Of course, as you're working with a calendar, remember that you have these different views on the top as well. If you're working with shared calendars, remember you can also overlay those calendars. I don't have too many meetings at this point in these calendars because it's just for the sake of the tutorial, but you can actually right-click on one of the calendars here and choose overlay, and it's basically going to overlay one on top of the other. If you don't want the overlaying anymore, you can simply right-click and choose to change the overlay. Remember as well, when you're working with shared calendars or any types of calendars, you can search for specific appointments and things of that nature here on the top right side. And it should display the different meetings and search your calendar for all the different meetings that you have. To clear the filter, you simply click on the X here on the top right. If for some reason you don't want access to that specific calendar anymore, you can just right-click on it, choose Delete Calendar. That's going to delete it only from your account from showing up. It's not going to delete that individual's account. If for some reason you didn't get that email to open the shared calendar, or the individual didn't send you the option for the email, you can also open a calendar by going to the Calendars option here, and then you click on Open a Shared Calendar or Open a Calendar. And you can choose from the address book or under the shared, Open a Shared Calendar. And then you search for the name of the individual that has potentially shared it with you. And notice, since they had shared it with you, the system just opens it and it will be added to your list of calendars. If they had not shared it with you already, then you can ask for permission to share it and they have to grant you permission first. That's how you share a calendar from Outlook Web and then open it here in Microsoft Outlook. The reason why we had to use the Outlook Web, again, it was because of the dual account thing for the sake of this tutorial. In this session, we are going to explore the People Hub in Microsoft Outlook. One of the nice features of Outlook is that it incorporates multiple modules. We discussed so far the mail module. We discussed the calendaring option for making appointments and scheduling events and things of that nature. And now we are going to explore the People module. People module, it used to be called Contacts in the previous versions of Outlook, and it's still the same type of idea. You're managing the people or the contacts in your Microsoft Outlook. So we click here on People in the bottom left. Of course, you have the list of contacts. You can search for these contacts, and then typically it will display the information here on the right-hand side if there was further information. Now, in my case, I just imported some very basic information for each individual, but typically you'd have a lot more information on the right-hand side. You have the different letters of the alphabet, so if you have, if you want to list all the people starting with G, in this case it's by last name, so G, sorting them by last name. So we can skip to that specific letter, and then the details, once we click on each individual, the details will show up on the right-hand side. Now, if we wanted a different view for this, notice that right here under the current different views, current view, you can change this. So that default is the people view, and then if you want the business card, something like this, if you want to see the full card, it would be basically all the information related to that individual, and that we have entered. In my case, again, I don't have that much information entered, so not much is going to be displayed, but that's how you change it. If you want to just view their phone numbers, if you want to view a listing of them. Additionally, here on the left-hand side, you have the options for creating a new contact that I'll display in a moment, then creating a group, a distribution list, deleting the contact, of course, you can do it from here, and then scheduling a meeting with that specific individual from here, and so on. Then further to the right, you can create a mail merge directly from the contacts option. And some of these options, I'll cover them in a moment as well, but for now, we are just exploring this general hub or this module within Microsoft Outlook. And then if somebody shared contacts with you, you'd open those shared contacts from this option as well. Additionally, you can categorize those specific contacts by choosing specific categories or color-coded categories. And if you don't like some kind of code or setting here, you can create new categories from the All Categories option. Following up and also marking a contact as private, that typically is useful if you don't want your assistant, let's say you have given delegate access to somebody for your full mailbox or just contacts or a specific module, and you're marking a contact or an item as private. In that case, by default, the delegates cannot view the private contacts or items. Now, to create a contact, you click here on a new contact, and then basically just fill in all this information for that specific contact. So we put in the full name, the job title, the email address, and basically fill in the web page, the business address, home address, and such. Then you put in their phone number, the home number, fax, mobile, and all that type of thing. Additionally, you can place notes in here as well. So basically the idea here is to place as many details as you can for this contact. Notice you also can add a picture to your contacts by clicking on the picture item right there, and you have to locate the picture that you have for Hubert. Then click OK, and notice the picture will be placed as part of that contact. Then we click on Save and Close, and now that should be listed here under Hubert Sims. So notice it's down here. And notice at this point it's displaying all the different fields that we have completed or filled up for this contact. So that's how we create a contact within Microsoft Outlook, the People Hub or the People module. In this session, we are going to learn how to create a contact group or a distribution list within Microsoft Outlook. So we are here under the Contacts module in Microsoft Outlook, and we have these specific individuals. So let's assume that every so often you need to send out an email to a distribution list. To create a distribution list, we go here under New Contact Group, and we first have to give a name for this distribution list or for this contact group. So we'll call it New Faculty List. And then the next step here is to add the members to this distribution list. So we click on Add Members, and you can add members from the Outlook contacts that you have within the People module in Microsoft Outlook, or you can choose the address book. The address book is the company-wide address books in Microsoft Exchange, or you can just simply add one manually to that distribution list by typing in their email address. First, we are going to add this from the contacts that we have in Microsoft Outlook. So click on it, and then notice we have here, we can search by name, and it's going to display all the names here of our contacts. Or if we wanted to search by more fields, for example, such as last name and so on, then we can just still simply type it in there and then press go, and it will display the contact that we want. You can either double click on it and it will put it under the members list here in the bottom, or if we go back to here to under name only and we browse through all of our contacts, we could simply hold down the control key and pick whichever individuals we want to add to that distribution list or to that group. Once we have selected that by holding down the control key and clicking on each name, then we click on members. That basically adds them to the members list. Then click OK, and then those members that we picked have been added to the distribution list. The next thing that you need to do with this distribution list is to save it, because otherwise you're going to lose it. It's like, so we click here on Save and Close, and now the distribution list should show up in the list of contacts in here. Now if we wanted to search for it, notice I just typed part of the name. Notice this is our distribution list, and you can expand this list to view further more. You can double click on it and it will open up that distribution list, where you can add more individuals to it or take some individual out from here. Now to add additional members, you can go also and use the address book. If you wanted to add an address manually, you simply can fill in the display name and the email address. Of course, it has to be a correct email address. I'm making that up at this point. We click on OK, and the system is going to add it to the distribution list. Now to save it, you simply click on Close, and it will save it. Now to use a distribution list, you simply can either come here to Contacts and then open the New Faculty distribution list by just double-clicking on it, and then choose here to email them. So this is one option, and then just simply type in the subject and then the message. Simply press send, just like you'd send another email. Now all the members in that distribution list will receive the email. Now keep in mind also the distribution lists, you cannot make them with thousands and thousands of email addresses. That's because certain email systems, they'll limit the number of recipients within a distribution list. So therefore it's best to have those lists in smaller chunks or smaller parts if you're going to have hundreds of them. If you're going to send to thousands of users and such, you can either consider an email merge, or you can consider some other tool for mass mailings and such. You can also send to a distribution list from the email module as well. So if we go back to the email module here and we click on a new email and then just start typing in here New Faculty. Now right now it's showing up for me automatically because I had used it a moment ago. But if for some reason that does not show up for you, or you're not sure how to navigate to it, you can either hold down the control key and press K and it'll look it up automatically for you. That's a trick for using names. Or you can click here under the to and then search for your distribution list. And notice we have New Faculty here. and then click OK, and now it's you can send the email that way. Or the Control K option is basically you type part of the contact's name or the distribution list name, you hold down the Control key and press K, it'll populate that automatically for you. And it'll bring all the possible options as well. So that's how you create a distribution list or a group of contacts, and that's how you send. In this session, I will demonstrate how to share contacts with another individual from Microsoft Outlook. So we are here in the Contacts module or in the People module in Outlook, and notice we have here my contacts. And at this point, I want to share this with another individual. From here, I click on Contacts right below my contacts, and then click on Share Contacts. And then you choose the individual that we want to share the contacts with, and then press Send. Notice we have to confirm the permission that we want to authorize here. Click on Yes. Once you have shared your contacts with that individual, on their end, they will be able to open the contacts that you have shared with them. And the way they open those contacts would be for them to go to the People module, to go under the Contacts option for them, and then they'll click on Open Shared Contacts, and then search for your name, the DL staff in this case. And then the contacts that you have shared with them will show up under here, under the shared contacts. I cannot demonstrate this for now because I've had to open 2 separate sessions of Microsoft Outlook in order to actually demonstrate it fully. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to update the contact details and also how to share your contact with another individual via email, how to send what's called a VCard. Let's say we have here the Hubert account. And to update that Hubert account, of course, we can search for it, get to this contact, and then double-click on it, and then update any of those fields and put additional information in there and such. So the idea here is to update your own contact and then send this as a VCard to somebody else whenever you're meeting with somebody and such. Instead of exchanging business cards, you're sending them in an electronic business card. Of course, it's important here not to include any information that you don't want them to have. So you want to kind of clean out and polish your business card with only the information that you want. Once you have updated the business card, you can click on Save and Close, or you can actually send it from here as well. Notice you can customize all kinds of other things. It's very similar to what we did a moment ago. You can change the image size and the background and all that type of thing, and customize it with all kinds of additional properties that you may want. Changing it just like a real business card. Click OK, and then press to save the changes. And then if we wanted to send this as a business card to someone, we can click on the card name here, and then you can choose to forward it, to send it, and send it as an Outlook contact or as a business card. Both of them, they'll be just like an attachment to that specific email. So if we choose as a business card, it'll look like that, and then you can send it to that specific individual. Press Send, and they, on their end, when they go to their email, they'll receive an email very similar to this, and they can also notice they are getting the business card to download it as well. So if I click here to download, and then once they download it, they can add it to their contacts, whether in Windows or if they're using Outlook, they'll be able to add it to my Outlook as a contact. In some other cases where the contact already exists with pretty much all the properties, you can simply click on Update here and it'll update all the different properties for that contact. So that's how you update a contact, update the business card for the contact, and send it to somebody else. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to track email correspondence with other individuals in Microsoft Outlook by using the People pane within the email module. We are interacting back and forth with a lot of individuals, and we want to make sure to see very easily all the correspondence back and forth, whether it's meetings or emails and such, with that individual. The trick here is to go back to the email module and then go here under the View tab in the ribbon, and then enable the People pane here under People pane. Typically by default that is off, so we want to choose here Normal, and that enables this stuff here in the bottom, all the correspondence, all the attachments, all the meetings that you have had with that individual. This is just another email, but basically for every email or every contact that you're interacting with, you're looking to all the interactions that have taken place between back and forth, whether they were mail messages, whether they were attachments, or even meetings. In this case, I don't have many meetings here, but that's where they would show up. You can also sort them either direction. Additionally, notice you can collapse this, and then when you need to, you can bring it up or down and hide it or unhide it. So this is a really powerful feature in identifying and keeping track of all the correspondence in one snapshot as you're navigating through your messages, and keeping track of what your correspondence was with that specific individual. In this next session, we're going to learn how to use quick steps in Microsoft Outlook 2016. The quick steps are a way for us to automate some of the processes in managing email and simplifying our workflow throughout the day in Microsoft Outlook. Here's how it works. Basically, let's say we have specific emails and we want to mark them with a single click as work-related, or to kind of categorize them, or have the system do something with a single click. So here in our case, let's say I want to mark this as work-related. I simply click on the message, then go here under work-related, and the system will categorize it under work-related automatically. You can delete and reply to it, or you can send this to the manager or a team, or mark it as done. So if I want to mark it as done, just click on done, and then I choose to move it to a folder, and then press save. Before you start using those quick steps, it's actually important that you tweak those steps to do what you want it to do. So if, for example, to manager, you have to define who your manager is. So it's going to forward the message to that manager, but the system first needs to know who the manager is. Or if you want to say this, I wanted to send it to the whole team, you have to tell the system who the team members are. So to customize those, all you have to do is you go down here to the bottom of this option here, and you choose Manage Quick Steps. Here under To Manager, notice it's going to forward it, but yet we need to specify who the manager is by clicking here on Edit, and then under the To, we need to specify the email address of the manager. And in my case, I'm going to use a generic account. It's going to forward it by default, but you can choose additional actions here as well as to what to do and such. But for now, it's just going to forward it by default. Then you can also specify a shortcut for this. So if you press Ctrl-Shift and 1, for example, that will take that action with a single keyboard shortcut. Then you press Save. Then for the team email, you need to specify as to what you want it to do. Here it's going to create a new message, but we need to still tell the system who the team members are. You just need to keep on typing the email addresses. And you can have multiple actions again, like let's say mark it as important. You can choose the action here under the drop-down to mark it as important. Then you can assign also a keyboard shortcut as well, and then click on Save. You can create additional quick actions as well with that single click. So click on OK here. And now if I wanted to send, let's say, this message to my manager, you just click on Manager, Notice you can customize and add a little of additional detail here, and then press send. So it knows who to send it to and such. It's going to copy the message and forward it to them. If you wanted to create a team email, you simply click on team email. It's going to have all the addresses of the team. You just type in the subject. You can even pre-fill that subject if you wanted by modifying the criteria there or the definition of the team mail, and then press send. Again, the idea here is to use those quick steps to simplify your work. So first you have to define those steps, customize the steps, and then start using them by either a shortcut key or by simply clicking on those options. In this session, we are going to move to another module within Microsoft Outlook, and that is for using tasks. So if we go here in the bottom left under the list of modules, we'll click on tasks, and this is where you can see the list of tasks that you have to complete, or you can define, create new tasks and such. This is kind of the hub of all your tasks within Outlook. Tasks can be created as you're viewing the emails to follow up with something. So for example, in here, flag this item to follow up with it. And that will show up under tasks once I get to the tasks module. So notice I can go in here and also use follow up next week or tomorrow and such. So it's going to put the flag here, but yet those tasks then will show up in the tasks module in there. Notice we said to follow up with it tomorrow. It's marked here for tomorrow, and this is for today. So in the tasks module in the top left here, you have the option to create a new task, to create a new email, to delete specific tasks. Then you can manage those tasks and mark them as complete. So for example, this one, let's say I worked on it. Now I want to mark it as complete. I can mark it right here, and now it will take it off the list. Additionally, here on the right-hand side, we can view various options such as the detailed items for the tasks here, a detailed view, or a simple list view, or the to-do list, what remains to be done, or view the priority by priority, active tasks that I have to complete, and completed tasks. So basically, we're just changing the different views and sorting through those different views. Remember also you can search for specific tasks here in the top right by simply typing in there. So notice I'm searching for the word published, and these are the two tasks that have that word in there. To clear the filter, we click here on close search, and then the filter will be cleared. So you have here my tasks. So you have the to-do list, things that are marked from your email, and then you also have specific additional tasks. Now to create a new task, we can either start typing right here, or we can go here under new task and then give it a subject. And then you can specify the start date and the end date, and then what the status is, whether you have started or whether it's in progress and such. And then you can also set a reminder, the time as well. And then you can place here details, basically all the details that you want to know. You can also schedule it so it recurs at a specific time and date. And if you want that to take place, you go here under recurrence, and then you choose, let's say, every week on Monday, starting from this date to that date, and then end it after 3 occurrences. Then you click OK, and now it's going to schedule it so that it takes place in the sequence that you specified. You can also categorize this to be clients or whatever it is that you want to specify. Then you can also mark it as of high importance, and then also mark it as private if you don't want your delegate with whom you have shared your calendar to be able to see that task. And of course, you can insert additional modules and additional things here, very similar to the email, to format this however you want. So this is kind of the fancy way of customizing your task content. Then click on Save and Close. And now the task has been listed here and has been created. You can choose the different views if you wanted to. Now at certain times you might also want to send updates for this task. So to send an update for the task, you can simply open up the task here, and then you can choose here the option to send a report. So send a report, you can put the individual's name in there, and then it's going to copy all of the details about your task, and just type a quick report and then press send, and that's how you send a status report. Notice as you're changing the status report, you can also change here the percent complete. Notice also under the status itself, you can change it to in progress and update the status as to what you want. So basically, the idea here is that you're creating tasks, keeping track of those tasks and details on them. To mark the task as complete, click here and mark as complete when ready. If you're in the email module here, you can change the view so that the tasks will show up on the right panel here. To do that, you click here on view, and then you go under the to-do bar on the right-hand side, and you choose tasks here. And then the tasks will be listed so that they are available to you from a In this next session, I'm going to demonstrate how you can assign a task to someone else within your organization. This comes in handy for you to keep track or to have other individuals with whom you work complete certain tasks and send you updates every so often. You can either use an existing task for this, or you can create a new task. So let's say we create a new task here, and then the start date, let's say it will be today. The end date, it will be 6 months from now. You can set it so that it sends a reminder, the day and the time for the reminder and such. And then the priority, you can specify whether it's high priority and such. Post the details down here. And if you wanted the recurrence as well, you can change it from here like we did earlier. To assign it, you simply click on the assign task. Then you specify who you want to assign it to, and then you have the subject, the details for here and such, and then you want to keep an updated copy of this task in your task list, and also send me a report when the task is complete. Once Hubert, in this case, completes the task, then you'll receive a report, and also you'll be able to see the details of that task from the list of your tasks in your task list. So we press send here. And in this case, the owner of this task becomes Hubert, since we are assigning it to him. The individual will receive the task. It will show up on their task list on their Microsoft Outlook account. And once it's completed, you'll receive an email. Now for you as well, it will show up over here under the task if you chose to have it under the along with your Outlook mail here, or it will show up on your tasks list. If you wanted to send an additional note or something, or an update, or request a status report or what, you can simply go here under Send Status Report and just add additional details about that task. So notice it's waiting for a report from the recipient. So that will show up on their account until it's completed and marked as complete. So that's how tasks work in a nutshell, in creating a task, in assigning a task to another individual. And the power of Outlook here comes in being able to assign those tasks to other individuals within your team and being able to keep track of them. In this next session, I'm going to go over the Notes module within the Microsoft Outlook application. If you go here on the left-hand side, next to the Tasks item, you should be able to locate the Notes option. If you can't see it and such, by the way, you can click here on Navigation Options and choose how many number of items to be showing in there. Now the notes are designed so that you can just create simple notes for you to keep track of things. This could be as simple as a telephone number if you don't want to create a contact, or a note to remember to do something. These are not tasks, but just a simple sticky note, basically. So on the note module, you'll have the notes here on the left-hand side. You have the options to create new notes, to create new items and such, then to see the different notes as a list or as an icon. In my case, I don't have many or any notes at this point, but you can change the view from here and the notes that you have created in the last 7 days. Now, to create a new note, all you have to do is click on New Note here and simply start typing. You can resize those notes, name it here, and that is one of the notes. Of course, when creating those notes, you can simply copy and paste the content from whatever other sites and such for the directions and things of that nature that you want to keep track of. You could share them with other individuals if necessary by just choosing Share Notes here, and then specify the email address of that individual that you want to share them with, and they will be able to access them from Microsoft Outlook on their end. In this session, I'll demonstrate how to forward your email from Microsoft Exchange account to another personal email account. This is provided that your company allows you to do that. The best way to do this is by using Microsoft Outlook Web Access, or the web module for Microsoft Exchange. So to do that, you basically log into your Exchange mail over the web, and then you go here under the gear icon. And of course, we are using here Microsoft Exchange 2016. Then go under Options, and then go under Inbox and Sweep Rules. Here, we're going to create a new rule by clicking on this Add icon, and then we're going to say Forward Email. And then we choose one of the options, one of the conditions, apply it to all messages, and then do the following action for all the messages. So we want to forward or redirect or send it. So in this case, we want to keep an email in the mailbox, but then forward it to another account or another individual automatically. Here we click on forward the message to. And then if it is within the organization, you can search for people over here. If it's outside of the organization, you can just type the email address next to the word to. It's a little tricky there because you don't figure out that that's where you'd be typing, but that's how it is. So you just type the email address in there, and then we press OK here. Now at this point, all the new mail messages will be forwarded. Anything from Online Instructor here will be forwarded to DL Staff account. And also the email messages will remain in your email box. So you can use this to forward to a personal Gmail account or some other account so that you have one mailbox to manage, provided your company allows this. By the way, you can do these rules for specific messages, just if it has a keyword in it to take a specific action and such. And those specific rules, you can do them from Outlook itself or through the web module of Microsoft Exchange. Now, if we want to deactivate this rule, we go back here under the options, the gear icon, go under Options, and then under Inbox and Sweep Rules, and then choose to deactivate the rule, and then press Save Changes. Of course, you could delete it as well if you're sure you no longer need it. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to work with the Outlook data. We're going to cover how to back up your Outlook mailbox. So to back up your Outlook mailbox, you go here under File, and then you go under Open and Export, and then choose here Import, Export, and then choose to export to a file. So we are going to back up to create a PSD file of your Outlook data. Then we click on Next, and then we want to choose the Outlook PST, and then you choose your whole mailbox with all the messages and such, including the subfolders. Then click on Next, choose where you want to back it up. Notice it's putting under Documents, Outlook, and all that type of thing. Click on Finish, and then press OK. It's going to take a little time depending on how much data you have. In this case, it didn't take as much because this is just a test account for us to do this tutorial. Now, to restore this file, you could either go here under File and then choose Open or Export, and you could open a data file from here, so you can open that specific backup file. And now that backup file that we had from before, it has all the messages, all the stuff that we had from before in here. So that's one way to open it. The other way that you can do it is if you don't want a separate data file from here, and let's say you're setting things up from scratch, or the system crashed, or you want to get to those old messages to import, you can go here under File and then choose Open and Export, choose Import Export, and then you can choose to import from another program or a file. So we are just doing the reverse now. We are importing. We click on Next. We choose the data file PST. Next. We find the backup where we had stored it earlier, and then click on Next. And then it will repopulate, it will recreate and add all those items to the same structure of your actual account. So I'm not going to do that in this case because there is no need for me to do it, but it will kind of replace all the stuff here on the left with items that you had backed up from that PST file. Now the nice thing here is also from time to time, if you have a lot of contacts, you can export those contacts only to a PST file and restore them or have them as a backup and such. So basically the idea here is we are backing up and restoring only certain parts of that Outlook account. So we click here on File and then choose Open and Export. We go under Import Export. We choose Export to a file. Next. And then we choose PST. Next. And then here go and pick the contacts that you want. So we want just the Contacts module. Choose the subfolder for Contacts and then click on Next. And then you can call this just Contacts. Finish. You can choose to enter a password. There's typically no need to enter a password unless you want it to be really secure. And then at some point in time, or to restore it, you simply go under File, Import Export, Import from a file, PST, browse for it. So we want Contacts. And then you can choose to allow duplicates or not, and then just press Next, and it'll bring in all those contacts. You can choose where to place them, on what account and such, and press Finish, and then the contacts will be imported. So in this case, in the second scenario, we imported only a specific item from our Outlook account. So this is it. Thank you for watching and for making it this far in the tutorial. I hope this has been helpful for you. And the step here is for you to subscribe to this channel first and view the other resources that are available within this YouTube channel and spread the word. That is one way that you can help with this work. My hope is that people from across the world will be able to use these resources to advance in their careers, to advance in their knowledge, and even for those that are disadvantaged that cannot afford to pay for a class online and such, that they can take advantage of these resources.